Okay, hold on, it's connecting. and we are live.
In action.
Live in action.
Keep it what? Hey, we're talking about keeping it light.
Wow, I
Okay.
almost blew it. Almost blew
Oh,
it.
1 second.
There we
It's
go.
going to be a little shorty today. Little Friday shorty. Also, happy Friday, wherever you are. Happy Friday. All right, we're talking about keeping it light and keeping it short. Keep it light. What do I mean? Don't be so serious. All right, Colby? Don't be so serious. Okay? When you're in front, when you're at a customer's house, if you have negative energy, your customer's going to have negative energy. You're not going to make the sale. And sales is like a transfer of energy, truly. You can sell somebody just off of your vibes. If you got good vibes and they like you, you have to have competency too. But if you have competency and you have not necessarily upbeat, you don't have to be like a shiny, like a crazy ray of sunshine that's super positive. But if you can get them out of their seriousness and make them laugh and make them giggle, like Tate does this all the time when he's on site with somebody. He'll just throw this little stuff in to make them laugh. And the more you can keep it light while you're doing your sales, the more sales you're going to make. Remember when we were in front of Brent, and there were some moments in there when it kind of got serious, and like I could have kept it way more light. I really could have. And I was a little rusty because I haven't done a sale in, I don't know, 6 months or so. But keeping it light is super important. If you can make the husband laugh, you can make the wife laugh. Like when you show up and you shake their hand and you like compliment something like, hey, I love this tree. I love all these petals on this tree. It's so, I've never even seen anything like it. It's amazing. And then you like walk in their garage and they have all these like, this one guy had all of these plates for all these races he did. And he was like 70. And I was like, you still running marathons? And he's like, oh, no, not running marathons anymore. And then, we got to talking about that, and we're just, doing small talk and like building rapport. But some salespeople will tell you building rapport doesn't matter. It's huge. It's huge because, yeah.
Brent actually used, when you asked him what would be the determining factor aside from cost, he said it would be a vibe check.
Vibe check, yeah, exactly. And so, you know why he said that though?
Why?
Because we had good vibes,
Yeah.
right? And like,
He was trying to tell you he liked you.
yes. And I asked him, and I was like, I remembered because we were there and I was asking him about his roof and it was kind of serious. And then he came back out and I was like, dude, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm an IT guy. And I was like, oh, do you travel a lot? And so you get into conversation just on a personal level. And if you don't have that element in the sell, it's really difficult for you to overcome, but it's hard to, that element is a huge added piece. So if you're really serious and you're like super competent and you're kind of cold and calculated when you're going through it, or you're like clammy and nervous, you transfer that energy to them. Like, when you watch somebody public speaking, like, dude, way back in the day, I remember in high school, I had this one presentation where I was like, I got up there and I had no idea what to say. And I just struggled through it. It was really bad. And I could see everybody in my class was cringing when I was doing it. And I sat down and those moments in your mind that you remember, those embarrassing moments, that is still one of them that haunts me to this day. But it was like you transfer that. That's the reason why people get secondhand embarrassment, is because you transfer that energy to everybody else. And in sales, it's the same thing. Like if you can rattle off your presentation effortlessly in a way that's super light, and you can ask them questions and it be interactive, they will buy. And they might not buy right there, but you will increase the likelihood that they will just off vibes. And so this is super important. This is more of, it's not really like a tactical thing. It's more of just like a a personality thing, and you can start doing this just by asking them questions, like being truly interested in people and who they are. If you don't get into the personal side of things where you're asking them like what do they do when they're outside, like you don't even have to start into your sales motion when you get there. When you go up and shake their hand, you give them a compliment and like give them a real compliment.
What's like a good example?
Well, I mean, like I saw this guy's cherry blossom tree out in front of his house, and it was blooming right there, and it was the biggest cherry blossom tree I've ever seen. And I told him, I was like, hey, I cannot believe. I was like, is that yours? And he's like, oh yeah. And I said, I've literally never seen anything like that in my entire life. I was like, this just blows me away. And I was like, I just want to go stand under that thing. And I was just talking about the tree, and it was kind of making him giggle because of like I was so obsessed with this tree, but I was kind of amping it up a little bit, right? But that stuff, when you're like, he knows you're there to sell him a roof, but if you're just there talking about a bunch of stuff and you can really build. You had a question.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
Raphael mentioned yesterday he closed a sale and he spent more time talking with the guy about shoes than roofs.
Yeah.
So that would be an example is you find a common interest.
Mm-hmm.
You speak on that and you
Yeah.
start talking about what they like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, you get to talking about what they like, or you could comment on things that's like around their house that are interesting, or I love this dog, like be friendly with the dogs, right? Like the placemats. Remember? Oh, the rocket ship placemat. Oh, I get this one. You know, like that little stuff. When you're like, it tells them, hey, I'm not a threat. I'm here to just have fun. This is light. This is easy. It's not. I'm not coming to get you. But if you start to like clam up and you start to get nervous, they immediately will do the same thing, and then it kind of all disappears. And so like, if you can continue to stay light, and part of the reason why, the more that you train on what you know you're gonna say, the less you have to think about it, and the less nervousness that you'll have, and the lighter you'll be able to be. So if you train your presentation over and over and over and over again, where you can recite it without even thinking, you will be able to stay light the whole time all the way through and make it more interactive to where it's not just like super robotic. And this is something I even need to practice too. Like I need to come up with, because our presentation has changed and morphed, and I need to practice on it myself. But
you know what I do too? Like instead of like, all right. So one thing
Tell me what you do.
I've been consistently doing now, instead of telling our story
Uh-huh.
when it's time to present,
Yeah.
I tell it as we're going around.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that way it makes the presentation shorter, so
Mhm.
you're just focusing on that.
It also sounds more like small talk.
Yeah.
Exactly, and instead of just telling them our story, I
Right.
just ask, do you know why we started?
Yeah.
And then they're like, of course not, why would they?
Right.
But
Yeah.
then now they're interested,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of lay it down, like, keep
Feels
it short.
very
Like,
natural.
Exactly.
Way to tell them the story so they
Mhm.
know it, rather than let me hit you with the products.
Yeah.
Let me hit you with
Sprinkle it in. Like you could transition it like, hey, have you looked at our reviews? And they're like, oh yeah. Did you do any other research about our company? No, not really. Okay, cool. Well, hey, and then you can start into telling a story. It doesn't have to be like he's saying. It can be really natural and flowing.
Yeah.
Like once you learn all this stuff, you will like incorporate different parts of it into the sale. So it's not like, okay, now it's time for me to tell the story, and now it's time for me to show you this, and it's like, yeah, chapter 1, chapter 2. It's just really like, it's very effortlessly flowing, and once you do that, once you learn that piece, then it's fun for you, because you'll have a high closing rate, you'll have fun when you're doing the sales, and people will love you. You know, they will want to have a beer with you, and that's kind of like the best salespeople. People like them, and people buy mostly because they like them more than anything else. You know, so
sometimes even like, look at their walls. Like,
yeah.
choose something that's interesting to you that they probably think is interesting to them because they put it on their wall.
Yeah. We're like, oh, I love that photo of your donkey.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Well, I had this lady and she had like all these like paintings, and I started asking about it, and then we went from the sale into her talking about that she did all these and that her mother
Mm-hmm.
did a self portrait of her and all this and that, and we started talking about that and how I have an art background too. And then it was kind of like asking for that sale. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was easier, it was more natural, and it wasn't one of those things that she could have closed right then and there because she lives in an HOA, like, and she's kind of like in an older housing, like other housing place, so she has to go through a board and everything. But it was like she was guaranteeing that sale right then and there.
Like
Mm-hmm.
she knew she wanted to go with you. She just had other stuff to take care of first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 So at the end of the day, everything, not just sales, but this is a communication. Sales is communication. At the end of the day, you're talking with people. You're influencing them with your own energy and everything. I mean, like this is just like a life skill.
Yeah.
Whenever you're around somebody and you have a certain type of energy, if you walk in the room with a certain energy, people can feel it. Like they know the type of energy that you're feeling internally. Like they can see. A lot of people wear, like me, really wear like a lot of my emotions outside. Like if I'm stressed out, I'm like kind of like going like this. But also on the opposite end, like when I'm happy, and that's also reflected. And so when you're out dealing with customers, when you're out dealing with customers, make sure that you like check yourself, because sometimes you can get in like a negative headspace and you don't even know it, but they can feel it, but you don't even know you're doing it. Where they're like, I don't know what's up with this guy, but he just seems like kind of cold and disconnected. And you're kind of going through the motions, but something might have happened before. You got a phone call that was a little bit abrasive or something on your way there, or you're dealing with something on a job, and it can affect you if you let it.
Yeah.
You know? And so you have to remember when you're showing up in front of a customer, it's the first time they've ever met you, it's the first impression, and that's the way they're going to remember you forever. And so the better that goes, and the more light you can keep it, and the more light you keep your energy, the more sales you're going to make just in general. And this is like just in life, you know, in communication, because that's all sales is. So this is the main topic here, and this is the message I'm trying to convey, is that all sales is a transfer of energy, and I would probably say plus competence. So that's it. That's the stream. You can end this one.